welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to be giving a review for the period horror film Sinners. Now this is directed by Ryan Coogler and it stars Michael B. Jordan in a dual role. He's playing like two twin brothers who are returning to like their hometown in Mississippi Delta, and they are World War I veterans too as well, but I think they did some work with like the gangsters or something like that in the past, and the money that they received from the gangsters they decided to take to like their local hometown in Mississippi to start like a new juke joint, like a music type club, you know, where they can have like people with like music playing and they can have like food and all that being served to people and stuff like that. Because as the film goes on, they try to Michael B. Jordan, like in these two different roles that he is playing, they try to recruit other people to join like their juke club thing, you know, like they had like a person that could be like a bodyguard. Cause I think that guy's known as like a cornbread. Then they had like a one guy that they wanted to play like music for them, like he'll actually play like the music, and he's known as Slim. They call him like Slim. Then they also want like their cook there too as well, and there's also like other people too as well that they want to recruit to be a part of like their juke joint. That's what they call it, like juke joint. So as the film goes on, and it does like it is a pretty entertaining film, but as it goes on, you would think that it will become what it becomes. You know, it turns out to be like a supernatural type horror film dealing with like vampires. And like I say, at times that's kind of the flaw of the film to a certain extent, but it's still pretty cool because it's like this is spoiler territory. You don't really get no explanation for why the vampires are there, where they came from. But it doesn't really matter because like a lot of horror films like that are like that. You know, they don't really explain. They don't really give an explanation sometimes for why this is going on. Because the way the film is set, you would think it's just like a film dealing with like a, because it is a period film. It's set like in the 30s. Ooh yeah, it's like one like, and it's one like a event towards the end of the film. Oh, it's like this. Woo! That's one of the rare events or surprises I was seeing in the film. I just leave it at that. But it's a period piece set like in the 30s, I think 1932 if I'm not mistaken. So there's like a lot of like racial and prejudice type things occurring throughout the film, because the place that they get the juke joint from was apparently from a person who's like a part of like the Ku Klux Klan. So I thought that was kind of odd. So you already think that the film would be basically like dealing with stuff like that, like the Ku Klux Klan and like racial and prejudice type stuff. But it really does go into like supernatural territory of like vampires and so on. But as the film does go on, you get to see like more of the characters like show up who will be a big part of the film. Like one of the main characters is Mary, and she's played by Haley Steinfeld. Now you could tell right when Mary first shows up, because they already making compliments about her that sound kind of like racist and prejudiced. But when she does show up, you can tell that her and one of the characters have like a history. And she could tell that she has like a history with Stack, and this is one of the versions of the twin brothers that Michael B. Jordan is playing. Because one is known as Smoke and one is known as Stack. And Stack is the one that Mary is apparently like has like a past, but you could tell they had like a relationship in the past. And apparently she is like interracial, or like biracial. She's like mixed with like, I think, black and all that kind of stuff like that too as well. And she is like an attractive like actress too. Haley Steinfeld, you know, I think some of the films she is in, you know, she's pretty cool too as well. But apparently she's mixed and she can actually go for being like a white woman, you know, in the film. But she does have like a kind of history with Michael B. Jordan's like a character of Stack. And if I forget, he's playing like a dual role. He's playing like twin brothers. He's playing Smoke and he's playing Stack. But you can tell they have like a relationship too as well. And there's also like this woman known as Annie, and she's apparently has like a love interest with like Smoke, I believe it was. I forget, I get them like mixed up, like the two brothers, because they're so very similar. But she has like a relationship with Smoke, because at one point Smoke even travels to see her. And one of the things about her particular character is she's like a cult type woman who believes in like supernatural things, like spirits and the afterlife and all that kind of stuff like that. Because I thought her role was kind of interesting too as well. She's pretty cool, so I thought she kind of stood out. She's played by Wunmi Mosaku, I think that's how you pronounce her name. But yeah, she's the one that kind of deals with like supernatural type stuff in the afterlife and all that, has a belief and all that kind of stuff. Even has like potions and stuff like that, because eventually when the vampire threat does show up, who do they turn to help them find out how to defeat vampires? Know about vampires like weaknesses and all that kind of stuff like that. You also have Delroy Lindo, who plays Slim, and he's the guy that the brothers, where the twin brothers try to recruit to play music at the juke joint. And you also have, well, like I say, Cornbread, who's played by Omar Benson Miller, and he's the one that they have like standing guard at their door, you know, like to protect people from coming into their juke joint. And he is like a large type of person, so that's why they actually use him to be able to like guard the door and so on. Another one of the characters that really stood out is known as Sammy. He's like the preacher boy, because the film does open with him, you know, and it's like a connection to the beginning and the end of the film. That's why you gotta watch the whole thing. Now he's played by Miles Cotton or Caton, I think that's how you pronounce him. But he is like a musical type of like person. He's like very good with like the guitar and stuff like that. And he has like a big role in the film. He is, when you think about it, I don't want to spoil the film, kind of like the main person of the film when you think about it, but I don't want to spoil it because it really is like Michael B. Jordan's like dual roles as the twin brothers, you know. They really take over the whole film. But I can say you have like other people too as well. Like you have I guess you could say, like, if you go into the vampire territory, the antagonist of the film is Remick. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And he's like this vampire type guy, because you don't know he's a vampire till later, like kind of later in the film. He shows him, he constantly like bites people, well not consistently, but he bites a couple and turns them into vampires, and eventually, you know, you could tell that like more and more of the vampire population is like growing. So, you know, yeah, because I think the ones that he did attack were like Klansmen. I think they were like part of the Ku Klux Klan, and he turned them into like vampires. So yeah, I guess you could say he's like the antagonist of the film. But at times, like his actions and the things he does, it's like he's kind of like that. Like he seems okay. Like the stuff that he's trying to explain and stuff like that, it seems like he's kind of like a okay. You know, you can kind of see like his point of view on things, which I thought was kind of interesting. And he's played by Jack O'Connell. Then you also have Jamie Lawson in the role of Pearline. Pearline, I think that's how you pronounce her name. And she's like a big part of the film too. Her role really stood out too. And she is like, I guess you could say that the love interest of Sammy in the film. And she's another one that I think is very attractive, because she was also like in the Batman film too as well. So yeah, like I said, you also have like this Asian couple known as the Childs. You have Yao as Bo Chow, and you have Lee Jun Lee as Grace Chow. Now they kind of stood out too, and I thought it was kind of odd. But yeah, they're in the film too as well. There's like other people I want to touch on too, but it's like so many like, you know, different like characters in the film. It was like very long too. But I can say that the build and the development and the slow burn of the film makes you think that it would not turn out to be like about the vampires, because the vampires just pop up, you know, eventually, you know. You're like, whoa, so this is just like a supernatural type horror film. Now, I must admit, I think the vampires do look pretty cool. And it's like what they're trying to do, they don't really get like this. One of the things I think kind of make the film flawed to a certain extent, but it's still pretty cool. It's like it's no explanation for what they are doing. Now, Remick himself, he tries to explain that he wants everybody like to embrace being like a vampire and stuff like that, so they can, like, you know, make a better world or something like that, where it's just vampires and something like that. But it's like, it's really like, you know, it's just something kind of off there. But it's okay though, it didn't really need like a strong explanation. But I do think the vampires do look pretty cool. You don't really get to see enough of like their like supernatural type things. You can't see them jumping around real high and all that. But I think the look of them, they're pretty cool. Like their eyes like glow like red and stuff at times, or just light. I think that looked pretty cool at times. It is like some kind of tense moments in the film, but it's nothing that really made me like, oh, like very like scared, like jump. But it is like some tense like situations in the film. But yeah, it is like a lot of like racial type prejudice type issues in the film, because you would think that's really what the film itself was about. And you can tell they are also leaving this film open for like a sequel too. But I thought the people were pretty good like in their role, like Haley Steinfeld as Mary, or Michael B. Jordan as like the twin brothers, all like Wuma Masako as Annie, the Jamie Lawson as Pearline, all of them. Delroy Lindo as Delta Slim. I thought all those were pretty cool. Now, one of the things very interesting about the film, it has a very, this has got to be one of the, I ain't gonna say the greatest twists, but one of the most, yeah, I guess I could say greatest twists I have ever seen, like in the film. Not really a twist, and you can kind of see it, like, but like it's like some kind of incident towards the very end of the film. You have to watch it. You even have to watch all the credits too to see it, where you actually have to watch some of the credits to see this actually happen. Like, whoa, I couldn't believe they did that. Because you get the idea that something like that probably is going to happen. Like once they're in the juke gym, the juke thing during the film, like one of the scenes where they're playing the music and stuff like that. Because the film does take place like on one day, you know, then it goes to the next day. But when they're inside of the juke thing, there's like elements of what's going to happen. You get an idea of what's going to happen like later on in the film, like the little twist I was talking about. And it's not really a twist, but it was just something kind of different, you know. But well, I thought it was a pretty entertaining film. There's times where I feel like the pacing was starting to go down, but then it just goes back up. You're like, oh, okay, this is awesome. This is really cool. So I really did enjoy it, you know. But like I said, I like the idea that they kind of did keep it like it was just a period film, but it turns out it really is a supernatural horror film about vampires. I think was kind of like an interesting thing that Ryan Coogler directed. Because I was even there when he was even starting to write this story, and then he got Michael B. Jordan and joined him. I was already there for all that. I heard him developing this particular film, you know. But in the end of Sinners, I kind of do feel like it was a B minus, but I'm going to just give it a solid B. Because like I say, it really did. It was like an entertaining film, and it's like very long, and it doesn't seem like it's that long. I thought the performances were pretty cool. And like I said, at times, like, the explanation of why the vampires are there and what they're trying to do and stuff seems kind of like off, you know. But it didn't really need it because like a lot of horror films are like that. You don't get no explanation for why they are doing that, you know. But in the end, I'm going to give this a solid B. Please leave a comment and subscribe too as well.